Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, the territory is abuzz with reactions over the arrest of former Governor John DeYoung. Residents took to social media while public officials sent out statements. One recurring message among sitting public servants is that the DeYoung arrest is not something to be celebrated, and they explained why. News2's April Knight has that story.
Yesterday's arrest of former Governor John DeYoung for embezzlement is not a reason to gloat or celebrate, according to some public officials.
It's a black eye for the people of the Virgin Islands. Whenever an elected official, in particular a governor, is charged and arrested, it reflects in a negative light, and that's unfortunate.
While it's not an event to be celebrated, I will continue to say that we as a territory have to decide if we are serious about stamping out public corruption here in the territory.
On Tuesday, the former governor was advised of his rights in Superior Court after being arrested for embezzling close to $500,000 in federal highway funds to build security improvements around his private residence. That's now known as Moffley Gate. The news, of course, caused a firestorm of reactions from residents, many of whom question why the case, which involves misappropriation of federal funds, is being pursued locally. But one senator who's also an attorney sees no problem with that.
We ought to have faith in our own justice system and in the ability of our own people to investigate and to prosecute. These are public monies. It doesn't matter that the source is federal or whether they had come from a local source. These are public monies.
Acting Attorney General Claude Walker did stress in a press conference Tuesday that in our justice system, the accused are innocent until proven guilty. A hard sell for a community racked by recent charges of corruption against public servants. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
The arraignment is expected for DeYoung within 2 weeks. Be sure to count on 2. We will certainly keep you updated on any developments in this case. Meanwhile, the Public Finance Authority is currently under a microscope, being under an ongoing audit, and also thrown in the spotlight by the recent arrest of former PFA Director Julito Francis. The PFA's sitting executive director and his team have updates on key issues involving the PFA at a Senate hearing on Wednesday. News2's April Knight has more.
Taxpayers waiting for their tax refunds might see something in the mail very soon. That's according to Finance Commissioner Valdemir Collins.
We're hoping to get some relief to the people of the Virgin Islands as early as possible in September.
Collins made the statement at a Senate budget hearing Wednesday, where he appeared as executive director of the Public Finance Authority. The agency is currently racked by controversy over the arrest of its former director and under scrutiny by the Inspector General's office. But Collins said he's not worried. Lawmakers lamented the PFA's report that tens of millions of dollars earmarked for capital projects are currently sitting idle.
You need to light a fire underneath some of these individuals. And when you look down and you see $24 million worth of capital projects, two words come to my mind, and I can't say it in public.
But according to Collins, the delay often occurs in the procurement process for those projects, resulting in funds not being expended in a reasonably timely manner. Senators also said the lack of St. Thomas St. John members in the PFA's board for 7 years now is a critical issue. Currently, only 5 members are sitting in the 7-member board.
And of the 5 members on the board, the governor is the chair, and 2 of his cabinet members sit on the board.
That's correct, Senator.
So the government controls the board. And the intent with 7 members is that the private sector controls the board.
For News 2, I'm April Knight.
Trial began Tuesday for former IRB Director Lois Lolo Willis with IRB agent as a witness for the prosecution. Jury selection went fast, beginning Monday and completed on Tuesday. Willis is accused of fixing 2 years' worth of tax returns for Balbo Construction, owned by Gerard Castor, allowing the company to understate its tax returns by some $3 million. The specific charges are conspiracy to evade or defeat taxes, fraud, and providing false statements. Last week, Governor Mapp forwarded legislation to the Senate that would generate new revenue. That new revenue would support several initiatives, including a plan to support the Department of Agriculture and the farming industry. News2's Erica Parsons has that story.
Governor Kenneth Mapp is making good on his promise to support agriculture. Late Friday, he sent a bill proposal to the Senate to amend the Agriculture Revolving Fund and ensure that it's supported with a minimum of $1 million annually.
We will restrict that funding that no more than 10% could be used for administrative purposes.
The change would go into effect January 1, 2016. The governor says the fund could be paid for through an increase to the hotel room occupancy and timeshare estate taxes. Currently, the VI's occupancy tax rates are 10%. Mr. Mapp is proposing 12.5%, which is still lower than other Caribbean islands. The plan is for the funding to support a farmers cooperative.
We are really working on launching our farm-to-table school lunch program.
The Department of Agriculture would be able to get equipment, provide land preparation, develop an irrigation infrastructure, and more for farmers. The governor also hopes with the farming expansion that healthy produce can be available for the hospitals, Head Start programs, senior facilities, and eventually the public. Agriculture won't be the only department to benefit from the occupancy tax increase that is expected to generate $5.8 million. The bill would also provide funds to support sports tourism, interscholastic competition for public high school athletes, activities for sports parks and recreation, and promoting the VI as a vacation destination. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Governor Mapp also said in a statement that expanding the growth of locally produced agricultural products is one of his administration's highest priorities, and he urged senators to support that measure. On St. Thomas, in our crime reports, a burglary caught on tape. Take a look at this footage. According to police, the owner of Kenya's Fashion in Solberg stated that on Wednesday, August 12, at 9:20 a.m., she noticed that the eastern wall of her business had a hole in it. She discovered that the safe was open and an undetermined amount of cash was gone. Preliminary investigation shows that the thieves removed the padlock from the entry gate, then made their way into the clothing store by cutting a large hole into the wall with an unknown tool. And once inside, the thieves were able to break into the safe and remove the cash. Call 911 if you have any information. Police say at roughly 2:40 a.m. on Sunday, August 16, officers headed to the Roy Lester Schneider Hospital in response to the report of a woman having sustained second-degree burns to her face, chest, and arms. The burned victim, who had been sedated, was unable to speak with the officers. However, the victim's boyfriend indicated that she had come home sometime after 2 a.m. smelling heavily of smoke, and when he looked closely at her face, he saw that it was burned. According to the victim's boyfriend, he had no idea how she was burned, but was made aware of the fact that while at the hospital, her vehicle had been discovered completely burned in the parking lot of the Evelyn Marcelli Elementary School. The burned victim was eventually airlifted to the mainland United States for treatment while the incident is under investigation. Also, according to the VIPD, 2 minors are still reported as missing. On St. Croix, Abijah Isaac, a 17-year-old, was last seen on Sunday, August 2nd at his residence in Tantan Terrace, wearing a pair of blue jeans and a red t-shirt. Abijah is known to frequent the areas of Sunny Isle and Cyan Farm. He has medium brown complexion, black hair, brown eyes, and stands 5'8" and weighs 130 pounds. Contact Detective T. Willock at 340-712-6029. Also, police on St. Thomas are still trying to locate 16-year-old Lanisha Janita Ambrose. Lanisha left her home on Wednesday, August 5th and hadn't returned. She was last seen on Thursday, August 6th in the area of Building 8 in the Tutu high-rise housing community, wearing a pair of black pants and a white t-shirt. She has a medium brown complexion, stands 5'8" and weighs 130 pounds. Contact Detective Rael Donestog or Cherise Thomas. Those numbers are 715-5541, or you can call 911. On Tuesday, August 18th, Eddie Gilberto Diaz, 46, pleaded guilty in district court on St. Croix to interference with commerce by robbery and using and carrying a firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence. Diaz and an accomplice entered Quality Foods in Estate Castle Coakley armed with handguns. Diaz and the accomplice entered into the office area, pointed their handguns at 2 individuals, and demanded that they open the safe. Diaz and his accomplice removed $24,000 in cash and checks that were in deposit bags inside the safe. They also took cellular telephones, a music player, laptop computer, checkbook, and backpacks from the victims. Chief District Court Judge Wilma Lewis on Tuesday sentenced Juan Carlos Sequino Martinez, 34, of Puerto Rico to 37 months in prison and 3 years of supervised release for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. And that happened, and the judge also ordered Martinez to pay a $1,500 fine and a $500 community restitution. In April, Martinez pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. Court records show that in December 2014, Martinez purchased and attempted to mail approximately 1 kilogram of approximately 2.2 pounds of cocaine from St. Croix to Buffalo, New York. Well, keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, everything down there. The Dow 162, NASDAQ 40, S&P 500 also down at 17. Coming up on News 2, the Back to School event organized by Rudy Live, MNZ Promotions, and Neighborhood Pharmacy Sunday was a huge success. We'll tell you why. That's coming up next. Welcome back. In a special board meeting on Tuesday, August 18th, the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority's governing board gave authorization to WAPA's Executive Director Hugo Hodge Jr. to enter into a contract with Glencore Limited for the supply of number 2 fuel oil. The contract, for a period beginning September 1st, 2015 through March 31st, 2016, was awarded to Glencore. With the implemented contract, the authority will be able to maintain the most beneficial, reliable, they say, and uninterrupted fuel supply needed for power generation at the most economic and favorable terms. Meanwhile, electrical service will be interrupted to a small section of customers on St. Croix feeder number 1 on Friday, August 21st from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., while the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority crews and contractor Fortress Electric connect a new high-voltage switch on Company Street, Christiansted. Customers affected by this scheduled interruption include residents on Strand, King, and Company Streets, the Scotiabank Building, the First Bank Building, and the St. Croix Foundation headquarters. Motorists are urged to obey all traffic directions to ensure the safety of the crews, pedestrians, and other drives. Well, the Back to School event organized by Rudy Live, MNZ Promotions, and Neighborhood Pharmacy Sunday was a huge success. They gave away more than 300 backpacks filled with school supplies, and on Wednesday, they made a special presentation. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Hundreds of children and their families turned out Sunday for a mini concert and back-to-school giveaway.
We decided to give them backpacks filled with supplies, 300 backpacks filled with supplies. And we also put on a fun day where we created games so the kids can play. We had entertainment by MNZ artists, including Poompa and myself. And we also had several DJs.
The idea started with well-known soca singer Rudy Live as a way to give back.
Every year I make sure I give back to the community in some type of way, either it's going to schools, speaking to students, encouraging them so they can further their education. This time I decided to do in St. Croix.
Rudy partnered with Neighborhood Pharmacy and MNZ Promotions to organize and host the event.
We reached out to a lot of sponsors to help us make this event possible, and one of our sponsors was Senator Sanis, because we had a goal with Women's Coalition to give back to 2 families to help them get the children ready for school. And Senator Sanis jumped on board and he got us a gift certificate from Terry's.
With the donation from Senator Sanis' office, they were able to help 2 families supported by the Women's Coalition. The gift of $150 will help purchase school uniforms. It means a lot to the Women's Coalition, who are struggling to keep their doors open.
Because of the financial crisis that we're in, there's a lot of things that we're not able to do for our families right now. And this is going to help the 2 families that we have chosen to present these to. A lot of people don't realize the amount of struggles that are going on in the Virgin Islands: domestic violence, sexual assault, victims of crime, and because we cover services for all these people, this is something that would cause a little bit less of a stress because everybody's getting ready for school at this point in time. And we just want to say thank you so much.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Indeed, a great effort. Well, what happens when you mix creative cocktails, live music, food, and athletic events for a good cause? You get the annual Bartender Olympics fundraiser for the St. Croix Animal Welfare Center at the new Deep End Bar and Grill. Teams from 5 restaurants made original concoctions like the Cruisin' Mutt Sunset, the Smashing Iguana, and the Grasshopper for thirsty patrons. And the crowd cheered loudly during the server relay race and the 3-legged race, all in good fun, with proceeds going to the St. Croix Animal Welfare Center. Well, at 11 a.m. early today, the center of Tropical Storm Danny was located near latitude 11.2 degrees north, longitude 41.1 degrees west, and Danny is moving toward the west near 12 miles per hour and a westward to west-northwestward motion at a slightly lower forward speed, and that's expected during the next 48 hours. The USVI impact remains uncertain. However, the National Hurricane Center issued a complete advisory earlier at 5 p.m. today, and Bernie will have the latest weather update. Tune in.